Welcome back to the garage and welcome back to the Baradyr Expanse, as during the 13 Keys campaign, the Harlequins take on the Emperor's Children. So we're back again in the Baradyr Expanse on this planet, where two armies who are new to the channel, the Emperor's Children and the Harlequins, face off in this mission from the Battle Missions book from some time ago. This is the book we mean, the Battle Missions book. I don't know, is it 5th edition? I can't remember. But it's quite an old one, but it's got some good missions in there that are still, with a bit of tweaking, you can kind of play today in 10th edition. We will come back to the mission on this planet, but first off, let's have a look at the Mask of Broken Laughter, the Harlequins mask, and the Choir of the Silken Blade, the Emperor's Children, Chaos Warband. So here is the Mask of Broken Laughter, and they're led today by the Shadowseer. So here she is, and she has the enhancement Mist Weave, which gives, when she's leading a unit, that unit gains the Infiltrator's ability. So she is a warlord today, and she'll be attached to a troop of to a Harlequin troop. In addition, we have the Death Jester, and he has the enhancement Murder's Jest, which means that if he targets a unit that's below half strength, I think it is, then each successful hit scores a critical hit. There are 3 troop masters, the central one of which has Kegarok's Coil. And Kegarok's Coil, it basically gives mortal wounds on the charge, so hopefully do a little bit of damage there. And they'll be attached to 5 troops of Harlequins. There's a mixture of shuriken pistols and Harlequin special weapons as they are now. Harlequins kisses or Harlequins embraces, that kind of thing. So there's a mix there, in which the Shadowseer will be attached to one of these, and then in addition there is a lone solitaire. Hopefully can show off what he can do and do some damage. In addition, there's 3 squads of Skyweavers with the melee weapons and the haywire attached to them. Yes, I know they should be in, I'm paying the price for having 3 in squads of 3 when there should be either 2s or 4s. I know I'm paying the price for that, but this is how they're being run today. On top of that, we have 5 Star Weavers as well. So that's the Harlequin mask, the Mask of Broken Laughter. Let's go and see who they're facing off today. They're arch enemies of Chaos and super arch enemies of Slaanesh, the Emperor's Children Warband. And here we have the Emperor's Children Warband, the Choir of the Silken Blade, and they're being led today by the Lord Exultant with his Phoenix Spear and his Plasma Pistol, and he has the enhancement Steeped in Suffering, which means if he targets a unit that is below half strength or starting strength, it's one of the 2, he can add 1 to the hit roll and to the wound roll. So he'll be hopefully dealing some damage out today. He's backed up with another Lord Exultant with a Rapture Lash and a Power Sword, and there's a Sorcerer. I know they don't normally come with these little Greeblies, but they're just too good not to take. In addition, there is 2 squads of Tormentors, one with a plasma cannon, one with a melter gun, plasma gun, sorry, not plasma cannon, blimey. And then there's 3 squads of infractors for that infiltratability. We have then 2 squads of Chaos Terminators, one over here, some with power fists, and then a melee weapon, and over here all with melee weapons. We then have 2 squads of 6 Noise Marines, 2 with the Sonic Blasters, sorry, with the Blast Masters, etc, etc, set up as you'd normally see. And then we've got a Land Raider for riding around in, a Rhino for riding around in, and then we have 3 allied War Dogs. So basically I couldn't let these decimators sit on the shelf and not do anything, so they've been rebased onto War Dog sized bases, and we're going to run this guy here as an executioner, this guy here as an executioner, and this guy here as a huntsman. It seemed to be the biggest and best fit, really. They're going to all have the melter guns on top rather than the auto cannon, I think it is. So yeah, we shall see how they fare against each other. There's potentially a lot of, well, there is a lot of haywire in here, which hopefully will come to bear against these vehicles in this list. But there's also its power armor against toughness elf, so I'm hoping there's some counter there and it makes for a good fight. So with that, let's have a look at the mission and get the armies deployed. So the mission today is Pillage, which is on this deployment map. So it's going to be something, when we look at the quarters, probably something like this quarter here against that quarter there, in all likelihood, something along those lines. Basically, we rolled and set up objectives. We rolled for a total of 4 objectives, which are placed here, 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 and here. And in deployment, essentially you deploy a HQ and 2 troop units. So a HQ, 2 battle line units, something like that. Everything else is placed into reserves. And then essentially what happens is the objective markers, you can either loot them or salvage them. So the Harlequins are looking to salvage, the Emperor children are looking to loot the objective. So you can only loot an objective at the end. So basically the Chaos Space Marines are intent on collecting loot while the enemy are attempting to salvage what they can. This is represented by collecting loot and salvage points. Each player collects 1 loot or salvage point at the end of their opponent's turn for each objective marker that has one of their units touching it, not in objective range, but touching it, as long as that unit is neither falling back nor engaged in close combat. So note, we collect the points at the end of your opponent's turn rather than your own. So we can't be in close combat and outnumbering the opposition, outnumbering models with OC on there. Essentially we can collect a point if we have a model touching it and we're not in engagement, we're not in combat, and that unit is neither falling back from combat as well. So we'll see how that pans out, we'll see how that works within this. And so let's roll off and let's get the armies deployed. So after deployment, we've got this squad of infractors here with one of the Lord Exultants with the Rapture Lash and the Power Sword, and over here we have a squad of Tormentors that have used their infiltratability to just get behind this terrain, ready to hop onto this should they get the opportunity. Around here we've got the squad of one of the troops that isn't being led by anybody, ready to jump onto this objective here. And then we have the Shadowseer with her squad, her troop that have used their infiltrate ability just to get onto this objective that's just poking out into no man's land slightly. Before we start, a little word about the board. This is all custom terrain from a friend of mine, the terrain guy. Do please go and check him out. He's made some extremely cool boards, some tables in there, and very good friend. Again, it's high time we caught up, so hopefully see you soon. The mat, this is an old, this is the DZ TV mat, and some GW trees, and then some trees from somewhere, I think Etsy or eBay or something. Anyway, so that's the board. We're going to treat all of these really as ruins. We won't be able to sort of shoot through these holes or shoot through these bits here. We're going to treat them as ruins, line of sight blocking, give both armies a chance to actually have some defensible areas to hide behind. So with that, let's see who gets the first turn. So blue dice will be Harlequins, white dice will be the Emperor's Children. And with that, it is Harlequins turn 1. A short first turn for the Harlequins. All we've done so far is we've left the Shadowseer here, and we've just moved this troop up towards the objective. Remember, we score points at the end of our opponent's turn, so actually the score so far will be 1 point to the Emperor's Children because they hold that objective. They have a model on it at the end of Harlequin's turn. It hasn't fell back, it isn't in engagement range. So with that, we'll move on to Emperor's Children turn 1. So at the end of the Emperor's Children movement phase, we've just brought this squad round to just hold that objective a little bit more. It can't see anything past this line of sight blocking terrain, and we've brought the Tormentors out to get line of sight on this Harlequin troop. So it's going to fire. It's got 3 bolt guns in there and a plasma gun in there. So let's start off with the bolt guns and see if we can get rid of this troop and claim the first strike. So 3 bolt guns in there, hitting on 3s, and that's pretty good shooting. That's 10,000 years worth of training. 3s to wound. I've seen better actually on that one. That is 4 up invulnerable saves for the Harlequins. Normally have a 6 up save, but we have a 4 up invulnerable save on the troops, and we lose a troop. And the plasma gun, there's no point overcharging it. It hits on a 6. It wounds. It would be -2, 4 up invulnerable save, and Harlequin dodges left and dodges right. And that's the end of the shooting phase, and that's no charges in range. So at the end of Emperor's Children turn, we have a squad of troops on this objective and this objective, so the Harlequins take an early lead as they salvage and look to salvage those 2 objectives. As we go on to Harlequins turn 2. As the webway opens, the mask of broken laughter erupt onto the battlefield as the Skyweavers, 3 squads, enter the battlefield. The Harlequin troop moves over behind the line of sight blocking terrain. The Shadowseer squad moves towards the Tormentors, and 3 of the Starweaver transports enter the fray. Transport number 5 holds the Solitaire number 4 holds the Death Jester, and number 1 holds a troop with a troop master in it. But the CP being spent by the Emperor's children as they rapid ingress a squad of Terminators with their accursed weapons. So that's the end of the movement phase for the Harlequins. So we spent agile token, a battle focus token on Swift as the Wind to give 2 extra inches to this Shadowseer squad, and with that we'll move on to the shooting phase. So we'll start here, and we'll start with the 2 fusion pistols going into the squad. 2 hits, 2 wounds. That's -4 d6 a time. So the first one does a 3, kills 1. The second one does a 2, just kills 1. Okay. The Shadowseer fires her Neuro Disruptor, hitting on 2s, wounding on anti-infantry 2 up. Oh. Okay. We have then 3 Shuriken pistols hitting on 3s. We missed twice. Strength 4, toughness 4, so wounding on 4s. 8 wounds. It's -1. Fine. So that's 2 down from that Tormentor squad. So the Death Jester is going to now has a choice to fire at the Terminators or to fire at that squad at the back there. So when the Death Jester fires, you get to choose one of 3 abilities: ignores cover, precision, or sustained hits 3. I think I'm going to go precision. So I'm going to take out that Lord Exultant. Right, let's go for it. So could have had 3 extra hits, but we've hit twice. Okay, strength 6, toughness 3, toughness 4, so 3 to wound. Oh no, nothing done. Okay, they've got to do a battle shock test anyway. So whilst we're here, we'll fire the Starweaver at the same time into the same unit. So 3 attacks hitting on 3s. All 3 hit. The 2 lethals with the Shuriken cannons. Strength 6, toughness 4, so 3s to wound. Doesn't go through, so that's 2 wounds at -1. We are getting cover. And 1 goes through, killing one of the Marines. The Starweaver carrying the Solitaire is going to fire everything into that squad of Terminators. Hits once, wounds, and it's saved. So repeating with this Starweaver first into the Terminators, 3 attacks coming from the Shuriken cannon, hitting on 3s. Excellent. So marking the end of the shooting phase, not actually that much done, but we're going to go into the charge phase now. We're going to charge this Harlequin troop with the Shadowseer into this squad of Infractors. And then on 8, in they go. We'll start with the Shadowseer with 4 attacks coming in from the Mist Stave, hitting on 2s. Strength 5, toughness 4, so wounding on 3s. Okay, so 1 at -1. It's D3 damage and kills 1 of the Marines. One of the troops is equipped with a power sword, hitting 5 attacks, hitting on 3s. Oh, come on now. Strength 4, toughness 4, but devastating wounds. That's 1 devastating wound doesn't go through, so that is one down to 1 wound. Then the rest of the attacks coming in from the special weapons, hitting on 3s. Hitting on 4s, but devastating wounds. So, what devastating wound goes through and kills that 1, and then we have 4 at -1 damage. And that, thankfully, is the squad. At the end of the Harlequins' turn, though, this squad is still on this objective. They're not battle shocked, so they gain an additional point, bringing them up to 2 points all as we go into the Emperor's Children turn 2. We have 3 battle focus points left for the battle round. So let's see what the Emperor's Children can do and who comes on from reserves for them. Let's see if this battle begins. And at the end of the Emperor's Children movement phase, there's been a lot of activity. So the second squad of Terminators deep struck into the lines of the Harlequins. The squad of Infractors with one of the Lord Exultants advanced forward, and there was a responsive move made by the Harlequins just in an effort to try and distance themselves and look after themselves into the ruined building over here. The other squad of Infractors appeared with the Warlord, the Lord Exultant Warlord, the Sorcerer, and a squad of Noise Marines, along with his squad of Tormentors, appeared in the Land Raider. The other squad of Tormentors appeared in the backfield. The squad of Terminators advanced towards one of the Star Weavers, and the Dogs of War arrived on the battle grid, with the 2 Executioners arriving in the backfield here, and just towards the edge of their own deployment zone, the Huntsman appeared to take aim at this squad of this troop squad, which then subsequently moved. So a lot of activity going on, a lot of forces now deployed on the battle grid. Let's go on to the shooting phase and see what the Emperor's Children can do. So we're going to start with the Land Raider putting everything into the Solitaires Star Weaver. I'm going to start with the Heavy Bolters, hitting on 3s, I think. No sustained. Strength 5 versus toughness 6. So 1 wound goes through. So 1 wound goes through, and it does go through. It's taken 2 wounds, reducing it down to 4 wounds remaining. And now the last cannons, 2 hits, wounding on 2s, 2 wounds come through. -3 bits on a 4 up invulnerable save for the Star Weaver. Oh, it's both go through. It's got 4 wounds remaining. So the first one does 3 wounds, and the second one would. So does the Star Weaver blow up? Yeah, it does. Bolter fire rings out from the Terminator squad into the troops in front of them, slaying 3 with their devastating Storm Bolter fire. Storm Bolter fire rang out into the Star Weaver in front of them from the Emperor's Children Terminators, doing 5 wounds and causing 3 wounds with only 2 saves made. The first of the War Dog Executioners fires up its autocannons and strikes out at the Star Weaver in front of it, hitting on 3s. Oh, that's pretty good shooting. Strength 9 versus toughness 6. The 3s to wound, and everything wounds. 7 4 up invulnerable saves. need to spend a CP to keep it alive. And it doesn't, does it explode? No, but then the Death Jester disembarks. With no valid targets for the second executioner due to lone operative for the Death Jester, the Huntsman takes aim at the Skyweavers in front of it and lets loose with its Demon Breath Spear. Hits once, fails to wound. The Melter Gun hits and also fails to wound. Oh dear. So after the Huntsman had fired, we spent one of our agile manoeuvres on fade back for this squad of Skyweavers, just to move out of range because we don't want any charges. So the only charges that will happen now are going to be the Terminators into the Skyweavers, the Terminators into the Starweaver, the Infractors into the troops. So we'll start the 9-inch charge there, which just fails. We'll start with another charge into the Starweaver, sorry, and the 7 that just gets in, and the Infractors, they get in as well. So starting over here with the Terminators with their accursed weapons going into the Starweaver, hitting on 3s. Strength 5 versus toughness 6, so 5s to wound. 3 wounds to get through, but with 4 invulnerable saves. Each one doing 1 damage. And that is our only CP left for the Harlequins. That is just enough. Does it explode? No, it doesn't. The Lord Exultant strikes out with his Rapture Lash, hitting on 2s. Getting 1 lethal hit, wounding on 3s. So 2 wounds come through. -1, 1 damage, so on the 4 invulnerable save. And they're fine. The Mastercrafted Power Sword. Again, 1 lethal hit. Wounding on 3s. So 3 wounds come through. On the 4th invulnerable save. And we lose 2. Here's leading that squad. I have to do a hazardous check because it means all enemy weapons are hazardous. And of course, the Lord Exultant is fine. So now the dueling sabres from the Infractors strike out, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. The 6 4-up invulnerable saves. And we lose 1 more Harlequin. The Power Sword from the Champion. So 4 more wounds come through. And they all go through. So that kills the last 2 of the Harlequin troops and puts 2 wounds onto the Shadowseer. Do those attacks kill any of the Infractors? It kills 2 of them. So striking back, there's 4 attacks come in from the Shadowseer, hitting on 2s. Strength 5 versus toughness 4, so wounding on 3s. Just 1 wound comes through. So just 1 wound coming through, so -1. It goes through for D3 damage. Just the 1 wound. Over on this side, the Terminators consolidated into the Harlequin troop and the Troop Master, so they're going to strike back. So starting with the Troop Master, putting all of his attacks into the Terminators. As he's a Troop Master, he gets Kegarak's Favour, where each time he makes a melee attack, he can re-roll a hit roll of 1 and add 1 to the wound roll. So we have 6 attacks hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. 2 1s to re-roll there. Okay. 4 versus toughness 5, but +1 to wound. Back onto 4s with devastating wounds. So looking for 6s. Okay, so we have 1/6, so 1 devastating wound and 3 wounds to save. So -1, so 3s. And that puts 2 damage onto the Terminator. So that kills 1. So the troop have chosen the Dance of Death for Villain's Doom, adding 1 to the wound roll. So 4 attacks come through, hitting 4 Harlequins with their special weapons, strike out, hitting on 3s. Get that roll again for devastating wounds, that'd be amazing. So wounding on 4s, but devastating wounds. Oh, that's not bad, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 devastating wounds. 1, 2, and 4 wounds to save. So 4 wounds at -1. And 1 goes through. So we kill 1 and we kill a second Terminator. So that marks the end of the Emperor's Children turn 2, and there's no points scored for the Harlequins because they're not on any of the objectives at the end of the Emperor's Children's turn. So how will the Harlequins respond? They've still got some more troops to come in. They've got 2 more transports full of troops to come in, and how will they change the face of this battle as we go to Harlequins turn 3? We interrupt this transmission to bring you news of the Baradyr Expanse. That's the latest narrative campaign from the Wargaming Garage, where you can essentially log your battles using a Google form that's going to come up on the screen here, and you can fight to discover the lost relics from within the Baradyr Expanse. Already the Great Devourer has descended upon the sector. The Brotherhood of Martyrs have descended on the sector as uprisings from the Genestealer cult, but currently the Blood Angels are the one that's nearest and closest to discovering one of the keys. So can they be stopped? Can they be shut down? So get involved, commanders, record your results and tell the story of the Baradyr Expanse. Let's get back to the battle. At the end of the Harlequins movement phase, there's a lot going on. The Solitaire uses once per battle ability to move an additional 2d6, and an agile manoeuvre was spent on him to give him an extra 2 inches of movement, bringing him right in line with this squad of tormentors. Over on the other end of the battle grid, this squad of Skyweavers moved up whilst there was a CP spent on mocking flight for the Shadow Seer to fall back out of combat, shoot and charge another unit. This squad of Skyweavers moved round to give support to this squad of Skyweavers in case they start to, unless their haywires don't go off accordingly. This squad of Skyweavers moved forward to get onto the objective, and the Starweaver with a troop squad in, another Starweaver with a troop squad in, also entered the fray. This squad of this troop, they fell back from combat again because I can spend another agile manoeuvre on a different unit. They added 2 to their movement, getting them close to their objective, while the Death Jester moved round so it was out of line of sight to these 2 Wardog Executioners, and was able to draw a bead either to this squad of Terminators or to that squad of Terminators, depending on how the shooting phase goes. So with that, we'll move on to the shooting phase and see if we can level the playing field somewhat against the Emperor's Children. So the Shadow Seer started off the shooting phase with her Nora pistol, and it killed that Infractor on 1 wound. But now we're going to move over to this squad of Skyweavers here, putting everything into the War Dog Huntsman. So hitting on 3s and anything on a 4-up, anti-vehicle 4-up, is devastating wound. And it does 6 wounds. So we're going to rinse and repeat with this squad into the same war dog, hitting on 3s. Then dropping 2 again, wounding on 4s. I'm gonna okay, so going around to this squad of Skyweavers, putting everything into this rhino. Let's see if we can actually pop something today. And we hit 4 times. We need all of these to wound. Oh, nope. So ignoring the rhino with a load of noise marines in it for now, the Starweaver is going to put all of its shuriken cannons into the squad of Terminators, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. So 2 3-up saves, and 1 takes 2 wounds. The same into this Terminator squad from this Starweaver. Hits 3 of the times, and just wounds the once. And it takes the Terminator down to 1 wound. So working our way around to the Death Jester, he's going to put his Shrieker Cannon into this unit, and he's going to choose, for his cruel amusement, the sustained hits 3. Now, as this unit is below half strength, every hit scores a critical hit. So, hitting on 2s, and we hit all the times. So if I'm reading that right, these 3 hits that came through means it's spawned 3, 3, 3 off of each one. Please correct me if I'm reading that wrong. So strength 6, so 3s to wound. So 7 wounds at -2, doing 2 damage. So 4 up invulnerable saves for the Terminators. Oh dear, I think that Death Jester is going to be in trouble next turn. So that marks the end of the shooting phase for the Harlequins, and then we're going to go into the charge phases. So as we go into the charge phase, we're going to charge the Skyweavers into these 2 squads here, the Huntsman, see if we can take off those 2 wounds, and the Lord Exultant's squad with his Infractors. The Shadowseer is going to go back into combat with this Lord Exultant and see if we can pick off some wounds there. This squad of Skyweavers is going to attack and charge the Terminators. On this end of the board, the Solitaire is going to charge the Tormentors. So these small charges here, they rolled a 6 on the charge for the Skyweaver, a 10 for the Shadowseer, and an 8 for the Skyweavers here. But how will the Solitaire get on? On a 5, let's have a look. The CP being spent, on a 7, that just gets him in. So starting here with the Skyweavers, 2 of them are going to go into the Huntsman, because I think I need to try and get rid of that. Because when it strikes back, it's probably going to hurt. And then the 3rd one is going to go into the Infractor squad. So this first squad, these first 2 hitting on 3s, pretty good. Wounding on 5s now. Oh, I got 4 through. We've got every chance. So 4 at -2. And does it explode? No. And 4 from the last one into the Infractor squad, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. That's 3 wounds come through. 5 ups. Each one's a dead Infractor. Oh, the power armour that's 10,000 years old stands firm. The attack from the Skyweavers didn't go as planned. We only managed to kill the Terminator on 1 wound and put 2 wounds onto another. So with that, we'll come over here for the Shadow Seer to put all her attacks into this unit and see what she can do. So she hits on 2s. Just, yeah. Okay. Wounds on 3s. Oh no. So now we come around to the Solitaire, who hits on 2s. Hits all the time. He also uses ability, he gets 3 extra attacks, which we managed to grab a couple more. So he's wounding on 3s. Oh, I've seen better. 6 come through at -2, 2 damage. So if we fail all of these, he's alright. And we fail 4 of them, leaving 1 tormentor left alive. So we'll start the fight back here as the Warlord, the Lord Exultant, grabs his Phoenix Power Spear and strikes out at the Skyweavers, hitting on 2s. It's strength 7 versus toughness 4, so it would be 3s, but it's got lance, so wounding on 2s. All 5 go through. So 4 up invulnerable saves, and we lose a bike. As the rest of the attacks came through from the Infractors, we failed enough wounds for the Skyweaver squad to be destroyed. Here the Lord Exultant strikes out with his power sword and strikes at the Shadow Seer, hitting on 2s. 2 lethal hits already, wounding on 3s. So 3 wounds come through, so 3, 4 up invulnerable saves for the Shadow Seer. Gonna have to spend the CP, try and keep her alive. No, and with that, the Warlord for the Harlequins falls. The 3 Power Fists strike out at the Skyweavers. Wounding on 2s. 5 4 up invulnerable saves. And we lose our bike. The Accursed Weapon strikes out on the last remaining Terminator, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. 1 wound comes through. And the bike is fine. The last remaining Tormentor strikes out with his close combat weapon, hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s. And the Solitaire takes a wound. So at the end of the Harlequins' turn, although we successfully took down one of the war dogs, it was at great cost. The Shadow Seer has been lost, and it's left the Lord Exultant and one of his remaining unit to get onto the objective, to consolidate forward onto it. Just inside the Harlequins deployment zone, there's an ongoing combat between the Terminators and the Skyweavers. And over this side, these 2 Terminators stood very strong. So now as we go, but that means that at the end of the Harlequin's turn, the Emperor's Children score 1 point for holding this objective here. But what we'll do is we go into Emperor's Children, turn 3. So, slightly out of sequence because we will come back to something, but basically the Terminators fell back out of combat in order to look to charge this Starweaver, whilst the Lord Exultant advanced forward to make a charge into the Skyweavers that were remaining. The Terminators turned about face and had moved towards the Death Jester, who I think is not long for this battle grid. The 2 war dogs remaining moved up to take aim at the Harlequin troop in front of them, whilst the squad of Noise Marines and infractors that are with the sorcerer disembarked from the land raider after getting onto the objective. This tormentor tried to fall back, but we spent an agile manoeuvre and managed to get back in to combat engagement range with him to try and survive, hopefully. Well, I mean, a little bit longer, can't be shot at. On this side, the warlord brought his unit up to sit on this objective, but whilst this rhino moved with the noise marines, Overwatch was shot by this Skyweaver unit. So 6 attacks, looking for 6s. Just got 1. Okay, looking for a 4. Okay, we take 3 more wounds from the rhino. Whilst we're here, we'll start the shooting phase with the 2 blastmasters poking their head out the top of that rhino and taking shots at the Skyweaver with the single frequency. So hitting on 3s. Okay, they dodged left and they dodged right. Wounding on 2s. 2 wounds come through, 2 4-up invulnerable saves. The Land Raider here going into the same squad of Skyweavers with the heavy bolter hitting on 3s. Oh, is it 4s? Hang on. Yep, 4s. It's 3s to wound. Wound goes through. And the bike has 1 wound remaining. The Soul Chatelaz cannons. 2 hits. And wound. And a D6 plus 1. It kills that bike. So the first of the Wardog executions going into this squad of this troop with the troop master hitting on 3s with the auto cannons. That's very good shooting. Wounding on 2s. That is 7 wounds go through. 7 4-up invulnerable saves. And we lose the entire troop, but the troop master is left alive. The second Wardog executioner going into this lone, the troop master again hitting on 3s. Wounding on 2s. 5 4-up invulnerable saves to keep the troop master alive, and he's so unbelievably obliterated. With the Solitaire still in combat, this unit with no viable targets will go on to the charge phase because the Terminators want to wet their blade on that Death Jester for the indignity of even daring to shoot at them. These Terminators are going to make a charge into the Starweaver, the Lord Exultant and his 1 remaining Infractor into the Skyweavers here. So let's make some charge rolls. The Terminators into the Starweaver and the 7, that should get them in. Whilst we're here, the Lord Exultant can't really fail. On the 5, that gets him in. The Terminators here going into the Death Jester again, can't fail, but we'll roll. And for an 8, they're definitely hungry. Down here, we will charge the Sorcerer's squad into the Solitaire. On a 4, they should just about get there. Start of the fight phase, the Solitaire has fight first, and he's going to put everything into the squad that's just charged him, hitting on 2s. Of course, he rolls 3 1s. Wounding on 3s. 4 wounds come through, -2, 2 damage. And now he has precision. And I think it's only fitting he maybe puts them onto the Sorcerer. Only 3 of the Infractors can get into range with the Solitaire, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. Oh dear. 4 wounds come through on his 4-up invulnerable save. Oh dear. Oh dear. And with that, the Solitaire is torn down and his soul claimed by she who thirsts. The Lord Exultant strikes out with his power sword, hitting on 2s, wounding on 3s, and 2 saves made. 2 attacks from his Rapture Lash. And one more wound comes through, and it's also saved. The attacks coming from the Power Fist into the Starweaver, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. So 3 wounds come through, and all 3 wounds go through. Does the Starweaver explode? No. So 4 attacks each coming in from the Terminators into the Death Jester, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. 4 wounds come through, each doing 1 damage if they make it through the invulnerable save of the Death Jester. And he's on 1 wound remaining. The Death Jester fought back, doing no wounds, and over at the back of the Harlequins deployment zone, as the Terminators consolidated into the troop, they fought back, bringing down 2 of the Terminators and bringing 1 down to 1 wound remaining. So now, just to conclude the fight phase, we'll head over to the Skyweavers. So the 2 Skyweavers that are left, hitting on 3s. Everything hits. Wounding on 3s. There's no devastating there, but we have 5 wounds go through. 1 at a time, because the Lord Exultant has a 4-up invulnerable save. So the guy's okay. Now he's dead. And 3 onto the Lord Exultant. And he passes all of his invulnerable saves. At the end of Emperor's Children turn 3, the Harlequins are not on any of the objectives, so they score no points. As we go into Harlequins turn 4, it is close. It is only 2 points to the Harlequins, 3 points to the Emperor's Children. But what can the Harlequins do to not only knock the Emperor's Children off these objectives, stop them from scoring them, but to then begin to hold some of their own? As we go on to Harlequins turn 4. So during the movement phase for the Harlequins, they do what Harlequins do, and we've spent a CP on mocking flight for this squad of Skyweavers to fall back, shoot and charge. We spent 1 of the agile manoeuvre points for star engines, and these 2 Skyweavers just got an extra few inches to get in line of sight and range of 1 of those war dogs. Around this side, this troop disembarked from the Starweaver and made their way towards an objective to hold that, whilst round here the Death Jester passed his battle shock and was able to fall back and embark onto the Starweaver, and this lone troop passed their battle shock and headed forward to try and become an element of a roadblock, hopefully not a smear, in front of these war dogs. Choosing to risk it and stay in combat, this troop stay engaged with the 2 remaining Terminators, hoping they can perhaps weather the storm and drag them down in mortal combat. So starting off the shooting phase, we're going to fire the Skyweavers into the Rhino. They've got only a few wounds to get through. Let's see if we can. So hitting on 3s. We want 4s, they're devastating. Oh no. We're going to repeat the process with these 2 Skyweavers into that war dog there, hitting on 3s. We hit 3 of the times. If we can get that roll again, That'd be nice. Oh no. On this side, the shuriken cannons from the Starweaver go into the Terminators, hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s. So 3 saves at -1, and that one goes through and kills one of the Terminators. So after the shuriken pistols missed completely into the Lord Exultant, 3 fusion pistols come in, and all 3 hit, and all 3 definitely wound. So 4 up invulnerable saves for the Lord Exultant, and he makes 2 of them. I'm going to spend a CP. Nope. And so D6 damage could kill him. On 4 wounds going through. Let me have to just check. So rinsing and repeating down here. The 3 shuriken pistols went in. They did actually wound, but they were all saved. So 3 fusion pistols going into the Terminators, and 1 hits, it wounds, and it's saved. With that quite meh shooting phase, we're going to move on to the charge phase. There's only a couple of charges to make, I think. We're going to charge these Skyweavers into this squad here with the Warlord. We're going to charge this troop into the Lord Exultant, see if we can take that 1 wound off. Then I just need to have a think about whether I'm going to charge these Skyweavers anywhere or not. Decided to bring the Skyweavers into combat with the Rhino to try and hold it up. We'll then start over here with the Skyweavers going into this squad on the objective. So 8 attacks coming in, hitting on 3s. Well, that's pretty good. Wounding on 3s. That's kind of less good. So 3 wounds at -2, and we kill 3 infractors. Over here we'll do the fight back, and the Warlord strikes out with his Phoenix Spear, hitting on 2s. Hits all of the times. With leading a unit, he gives them lethal hits. We've got Lance, so strength 7. So wounding on 3s, but down to 2s. So all 5 wounds come through onto the 4 up invulnerable save of the bikes. Oh dear, that has not gone according to plan. That kills 1 Skyweaver, that kills another Skyweaver. Ah, okay. The Troopmaster levels his special weapon at the Lord Exultant and hits 5 times. Devastating wounds on a 6 with strength 4 versus toughness 4. So 3 wounds come through. So the power fists of the Terminators strike out, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 2s. And 4 up invulnerable saves for the Harlequins, or it is death. And I only lose 1. Troopmaster strikes back, hitting on 2s. Wounding on 5s, but devastating wounds. That kills one of the Terminators. So this Troopmaster's got Kegorok's coil, so added 1 to the wound roll, and we do 2 damage to this Terminator as well, leaving it on 1 wound remaining. So choosing Villain's Doom, so they add 1 to the wound roll. The remaining Harlequins strike out, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 4s because of the +1 to wound, otherwise it would be 5s. 6 is the Devastator. And with that one devastating wound that tears that Terminator down. So at the end of the Harlequins' turn, we've managed to clear some elements down this side of the battle grid, but there is a whole squad of Noise Marines and a Rhino still down here. The devastation wrought by the Lord Exultant on that Skyweaver squad, how telling will that be as the Emperor's Children pick up 2 more points on their objectives, taking them to 5. So as we go into the Emperor's Children turn 4, the Harlequins really do need to hold on to some of these objectives. So what can they do as we go on to Emperor's Children turn 4? At the end of the movement phase, this squad with the Lord Exultant advanced forward, looking to make a charge into that squad and remove them from their objective to hopefully stop them from scoring it. This squad of Noise Marines disembarked from the Rhino and are taking aim at that troop. The Land Raider had to re-roll its advance, but still could not quite get onto the objective to cover it, to claim it. Around this side, the Noise Marines move towards this one remaining troop member, whilst the War Dogs move forward to take aim at the Starweaver. The lone Terminator made his way forward in anticipation of the Death Jester being having his ride removed from underneath him. With that, we'll go on to the shooting phase. We'll start with this squad here, firing everything into that lone troop. And we'll start with the Blastmasters. 2s to wound. Oh. Rolling a 4 here would keep him alive. And he's alive. Well, that just happened. So, anyway, the other Sonic Blasters hitting on 3s. Ending on 3s. Can we make 4 invulnerable saves? 5 4 invulnerable saves. No. Repeating down here with this squad into the troops here. The Blastmasters hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, 5 4 invulnerable saves. And again we lose just the 1. Now the real test comes with the Sonic Blasters hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. So again 5 more 4 invulnerable saves. And we lose 2 more Harlequins. So down here, the first of the War Dogs opens fire onto the Starweaver, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. So 4 invulnerable saves to make. And we lose 3 wounds on the Starweaver. Rinsing and repeating with the second War Dog, hitting on 3s. Oh dear. On 3s. So 4 wounds come through again. And he makes all of them. Frustrating for the Emperor's Children, will have to rely on charges, in which will declare a charge from this Terminator into the Starweaver. We'll be charging the Lord Exultant into this squad of Harlequins. We'll be charging this squad of Noise Marines into this squad of Harlequins. They don't roll their snake eyes. On a 10 they certainly do not. On this squad here, on a 3 that is a failed charge. We'll have to re-roll that. On an 11 that's much better. And the Terminator with a 3, yeah, just gets in. So at the start of the fight phase, this troop will choose -1 to be hit, as will that troop over there. So, Lord Exultant hitting on 3s this time. and makes a couple of bits of difference. Wounding on 2s. So 2 wounds come through 2 4-up invulnerable saves. So the one infracted with the dueling blades hits on 4s because the -1 to hit. Wounding on 3s. 4-up invulnerable save, which is made. Then the power sword comes in, hitting on 4s. 1 hit. Wounds. And again is saved. So coming over here, the noise marines strike out, hitting on 4s because the -1 to hit. Strength 4, toughness 3 for wounding on 3s. Starting with the Harlequin, that's dead. And then 4-up invulnerable saves for the Troop Master. And he's cut down to 2 wounds remaining. So coming over to the Terminator over here, strikes out at the Starweaver, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 5s because it's an accursed weapon. 1 wound comes through, it won't kill the Starweaver. So 4-up invulnerable save, which is made. So starting the fight back, the Skyweavers attack the Rhino. So 8 attacks hitting on 3s. Wounding on 5s, just the 1 wound. It is a save or death for the Rhino, and it wakes up and chooses death. Does it explode? No. So the Harlequins strike out against the squad of infractors in front of them, hitting on 3s. Hitting on 4s, but could really do with some 6s. And those 2 devastating wounds take down the 2 infractors and put 3 wounds onto the Lord Exultant. Needing 4-up invulnerable saves, and he takes 3 wounds. The Troop Master hits out, hitting on 2s. Wounding on 4s, but devastating wounds. Just 2 wounds come through. It is 2 invulnerable saves or death. And the Lord Exultant is struck down. Here, how much damage can the Troop Master do before he potentially is torn down? He hits on 2s. Wounds on 4s, but he has Kogorok's favour, so he can re-roll and add 1 to the wound roll. So that's 1 devastating wound, and 3 wounds come through. And he kills another, so 2 are torn down. So at the end of the Emperor's Children's turn, they've lost their Warlord and their squad. They bounced off of that Harlequin troop. The Death Jester's transport is tied up in combat, and the Harlequins have managed to hold on to just the 1 objective because this one is contested, making it 5-3. So as we go into the last turn of the game, turn 5, the Harlequins, rather than at this point, we will then at turn 5 score at the end of each player's turn. So the Harlequins will score at the end of their turn, Emperor's Children score at the end of their turn. So let's see what the Harlequins can do as we go into the Twilight Hours and to turn 5. So at the end of the Harlequins movement phase, it's been really short. So the Skyweavers used Star Rangers again and got themselves onto the objective. They have the intention of maybe not killing that Land Raider, but certainly doing it some harm up close and personal. The Death Jester disembarked from his transport and got himself just out of reach of the Terminator's grasp, and is intending to put everything from his Shrieker cannon straight into the Terminator, up close and personal, and the Starweaver has moved forward to do its best to try and block the War Dogs and block the Noise Marines from coming towards this objective. Over here, the Troop Master stayed in combat to do what damage he could to the Servants of Slaanesh. With that, we'll go on to the shooting phase. So we will start with the Skyweavers putting everything for their haywires into the Land Raider, hitting on 3s. Anti-vehicle 4 ups to devastating wounds on a 4, put 6 wounds on to the Land Raider. So the Death Jester is going to choose sustained hits 3 against the target unit that is below half strength. So hitting on 2s, and every hit is going to go for sustained hits 3. Okay, wounding on 3s. That's pretty good. 10 4 invulnerable saves. Can this Terminator withstand the fire? Do you know what? That was an absolutely incredible effort. I'm going to have to CP that. And with that, he only takes 2 wounds. He's down to 1 wound remaining. In what counts as a rear view mirror in 40k, the Starweaver, seeing all those shots from the Shrieker cannon bounce off the Terminator, fires its Shuriken cannon, hitting on 3s, doing no lethal hits. Wounding on 3s, doing 3 wounds. Can it tear down this Terminator? Oh, just. Pistol from the Troop Master, hits, wounds. It's -4 at this range. D6 damage plus 2. Yeah, they're well dead. Well, how many damage? Let's have a look. Yeah, well dead. So onto the fight phase. There's no charges to make onto the fight phase, and the Noise Marines strike first, defenders fighting first, but we're going for -1 again, so they're hitting on 4. That's still pretty good. Wounding on 3s. That's less good, but you only got 2 wounds to get through, so 4 up invulnerable saves. I'm going to have to CP that myself. He's alive on a wound. Master immediately strikes back with lightning reflexes, hitting on 2s. Wounding on 4s. Wounding on 3s actually. So 2 wounds come through. That kills 2 of the Noise Marines. So at the end of the Harlequins turn, at the end of the Harlequins battle, they've done all they can do. There's not much left, but they do hold 1, they do hold 2, and they do hold 3, bringing them up to 6 points. If they can hold on to those 3 objectives, then that will result in a draw. So the test is on. Can the Emperor's Children remove the Harlequins from these objectives and take control of this battle grid? So at the end of the movement phase for the Emperor's Children, the Land Raiders just move around to take full advantage, take full aim at the Skyweavers in front of it. The Noise Marines have moved into the building in an effort to make a charge onto the Death Jester. The War Dogs have stayed still, they're levelling their cannons at the Starweaver, and the Infractors over this side have also remained on the objective. Over here, the Noise Marines stayed in combat with the troop, but over here, the Death Jester, and one final effort to scythe down as many Servants of Slaanesh as he can, takes aim and fires Overwatch using sustained hits, but alas, doesn't get a single one. We need to be making sure that the models end on top of the objectives, touching them. We're going to fire both sets of War Dogs at the Starweaver at once, hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s. So can the Starweaver make 7 and 4 invulnerable saves? No. Does it explode? No. So over this side, the Land Raider takes aim at the Skyweavers, hitting on 4s because the Skyweavers want to hit. So we hit once, and we fail to wound. And now the Heavy Bolters, and they hit all 3 times. And they wound all 3 times. And we save all 3 times. That could be pretty significant. So the Noise Marines are not going to fire anything at the Death Jester. We're going to take him down in combat. So we need to charge him. On a 6, let me check. No, he needs more than that. On a 7, the Land Raider is also going to go into the Skyweavers, looking to tank shock. So on a 7, it goes in. We'll spend the CP on tank shock. So 12 dice, so 12 dice to roll, 5s result in mortal wounds. Okay. Okay. So only 6, so only 2 can get into combat due to how getting through that bit of terrain. So they hit on 3s. Oh no. The wound on 3s. 1 wound comes through. 1. So Death Jester strikes back and he hits 3 times. He wounds once, and the Marine stands firm. But as we are in engagement range with each other, we are in combat, that objective cannot be scored. So this objective is contested because of engagement happening at the time of close combat. Same over here, thanks to the failed tank shock, and we did the roll off camera for its melee weapons, its melee attacks with its treads, and nothing doing as expected. So with that, at the end of Emperor's Children turn, they're only on 1 objective, which brings the score to 6 to the Emperor's Children and 6 to the Harlequins. The Harlequins, at great loss, have managed to stall the Emperor's Children advance on this planet, on this chaos corrupted planet within the Baradyr Expanse, as they battle over ancient relics that are starting to awaken. I hope you've enjoyed watching today's battle. I hope that it inspires you to tell some stories of your own. And commanders, please do record your battles in the Baradyr Expanse and see how you can shape its future. Until then, until next time, I hope you enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing you again and telling some more stories.